In this video, I want to review a new browser, which is not a new browser, it's a new browser on my website called the Slimjet Browser. Now, before I actually open it up in my applications, internet, and clicking on the Flash Peak Slimjet browser, let me first show you some of the features of it. And if you found this video on YouTube, I will provide a link below the video that will allow you to click on the link to download and install it for whatever platform. It's multi-platform that we can use on install on Windows, Linux, and a Mac system. Now, it is Chromium based, therefore it will look like Google Chrome and Chromium browser, but what sets this apart is some of the additional features that the Slimjet people put into the browser. The additional features is what makes it unique. Now, if you go to my website, you can click on the slimjet.com and it will come up to the actual website so that you can click the download button, and it will determine the platform or the operating system on your system so that it will download the correct installation file. And I also have it where you can scroll down, and for Linux users click here, Windows 64-bit users here, Windows 32-bit users here, and Mac 64-bit users here, or you can click on where it's the release of it that take you to the actual releases so that they're the most updated current. And today is August the 18th. As you can see here, yesterday was the last time the new release was based on the time I'm making this video. So you can go to the newest releases, which are here. Once you download the installation file, it will go to your current download folder of the browser that you're currently using. Now, I'm modeling this in the Yandex browser, which is the Slimjet is what I'm going to model, but I didn't want to have my website up using that browser because then in a few moments when I start using it, I'll make some changes and I have to open and close, so this way I stay consistently open. But once you download, go to your download folder, locate the file that you've downloaded. Since I'm using Ubuntu Mate, I'm using the deb extension. So open up your package installer. I just double click it to open up my GDebi, which is the package installer. I click install the package, I put my password in, I authenticate, I wait till it says same version already installed before I close the package installer. If you determine that you don't like Slimjet, you can open your terminal, simply copy and paste either this or that, put it into your terminal, press the enter return key, put your password, and it will remove it from your system. Now, once you install it, it will go into your internet folder within your menu, depending upon what type menu that you're using for your Linux system. And it's going to be called Flash Peak Slimjet. The very first time that you click onto it, it will ask you, do you want to enable the ad blocker feature? You can click yes. Now, that's not to say that you can't install extra ad blocks. You can. It works through the Chrome store since it's a Chromium based browser. Now, the first time you load, it looks like it has a lot of advertisements. You can remove these. You can hover over each of the tiles and it will display an X, a refresh button, and an edit button. By clicking the X, it's not going to remove the whole X, it'll just remove the ad or the URL for the current tile that you see. Now, if you leave the default, as you begin to use the search engine and search for things, the sites that you go to the most will be displayed here. So these will change by default of the original settings. You can right click on the links on the URL to remove those if you don't like Walmart and places that's up here on the bookmarks bar, but I'll show you that in a few moments. If you want to change the URLs for these sites, and you can actually customize how many tiles that you see in the tab if you want to leave this as the display type when you open it up. Instead of the default is automatically use frequent sites, which means that they will adjust themselves as you begin to use your browser in the most current websites that you're at. So that way, if you want to go to a website often, it would be displayed here where you can click onto it to open it up. Or you can make them fixed URLs. You can click to add a fixed URL, so that what you do is you click this little button here, which is the edit button, and put yourself the URL after you say the fixed URL, and then put in the name, hit OK, and it will replace the tile with the link that's currently at with the link that you've changed. Now, in this browser here, like I said, you can delete the links in your address bar and remove them so that you can customize and put what you have. When you open the browser, you're going to see two settings. You're going to see settings for the entire browser and a settings for the current tab. If you click the customize for the current tab, you'll be able to change the number of rows and the number of columns. You'll get to use a theme background or a current color background, you can change the background image to an image that's on your system, or you can even put a background video, and there's an online video library that you can click and change, and you can choose to show the weather within the open tab here on this particular site when you open your browser. Now if you choose a background image, I had this image here which is a wallpaper on my computer that I set as my current background. You can change it by going to and choosing a different wallpaper on your system. Now if you choose the video, you can go to the video link. So if you go back up here and choose that you want to use a video, you can go to the online video library, or if you have any other WebM links or videos on your system, you can use the extension of WebBM. Make sure that your size is not too large. If it's a very large size, it will take a very long time to open your browser because it will have to load that large video in the background. Now the video, it can contain sounds, because you can say mute the sound, so that way there's no sound displayed when you open your video if you're using a WebM video as your background. And here's one of the free ones that you have when you go to the online store, and here's one that I use from the Yandex browser, which is here. I got the WebM and I put in a folder, and I showed you how to, I'll show you in a moment how to put it as your background. You can customize it. It's very customizable. That makes this very similar to Google Chrome and Chromium. However, there are a lot of features in here that you have that's not in Chromium or Google Chrome. You can customize your toolbar, and when you hit customize the toolbar, you can add additional buttons from the left hand side. Just simply drag them to the right hand side, or if you don't want a button, you can drag it back and put it in the left hand side, and that way you control the buttons that you see here on your toolbar. Another way that you can do it is by clicking the little arrow where it says more tool. You can hit customize bar. You can reset it back to the default. You can even put the buttons from the right hand side to the left hand side, the omnibox or the address bar, or you can even hide a particular button by hide the button. One thing I like about Slimjet is it does allow you to have a YouTube downloader within the Google Chrome and Chromium type browsers. You know, in the Chrome Web Store, there's no downloader for YouTube, which this has one enabled. However, the first time you use it, it will ask you to install the transcoder, because when you use the download button, it's going to ask you the two different formats. You can save your video as a WebM, or you can convert it to an MP4. As it's downloading the video, it's going to download two downloads, one for the audio, which is a smaller file size, and one for the video. When it's finished downloading both the audio and video, it will convert the two files and merge them together in whatever format you choose. If you choose a WebM, and that's a good way to get you a good background. If you see a short video that you see, you can save it as a WebM and use it as your background. In this case, it will convert it to the MP4 because I chose to convert to MP4. So it will leave an MP3, which is your audio file, and it will merge the video and audio into an MP4, so that way you have your MP4 video file. If you don't like the audio, you can select it and delete it. If you download a music video, you can have the song in your downloads folder. Here's a video. When I click play, it looks a little blurry here because the hand was moving when I did a screen capture. If for some reason a site doesn't support the YouTube downloader, it will support other websites other than YouTube, but if there is a particular site that will not download with the download button, you can say record the video from the current tab. When you use the screen recorder, it will come up asking you to put it'll give you an option for a stopping time. You can choose your resolution. You can start recording. And when you hit the record button, it gives you 3 seconds. So if you want to maximize a small video window to where it fills up the tab, that it records everything, the entire video. It's not recording just the text around it, because the screen recorder will record the current tab. So if you want to adjust the video, you need to maximize the video to fill the entire tab. You don't have to put a timer on it. You can press the stop button, and when you're finished, you can hit play or open folder to reveal your video. Now here's the main feature that I like Slimjet, is you can add what are called URL aliases, meaning that instead of typing in a long URL, you can type in a very short URL and it goes to that long URL. It's almost like a URL shortener, but the thing that makes a URL shortener different is you can email someone a URL shortener and it's a short version to a long link. This is just an alias just for this browser. So like for my learnubuntuweebly.com, I can type in the alias of Mate, so when I type Mate in my Omnibox or address bar, it will automatically go to this URL, saving me a lot of time. Now, if you're someone that doesn't clean your cookies out, normally when you start typing, you can put like learn Ubuntu, it'll drop down, you can click on it. But if you're someone that cleans your cookies often, this is a great tool to have so that it will save you time. As you can see here in my alias definitions, I have my 5th grade science website, my 6th grade science website, my 6th grade social studies, and my Learn Ubuntu Mate, and I keep them at a 4-character link URLs. When I type in 4 letters, it will automatically go to the longer URLs. So you can put your alias here, your URL here, and hit add, and it will add it to the list. If you want to remove one, you click onto it, click remove, and it will take it from the list. Another feature that's a nice feature, if you're someone that has a DSL camera or a high resolution camera and you put your SD card in there, if you're uploading immediately to a website, a lot of times your images could be 10 megabytes per image or larger. You have what are called photo shrinking. So that way that if you choose to enable the photo shrinking, it's not going to shrink every image that you upload, only to the websites that you set in the settings. So when you click the photo shrinking, it will come up with an automatic photo shrinking URL. So you put the domain of the website that you want to shrink the photo, put what size you want to shrink it down, click OK. So if you're a web developer, when you're creating websites, if you have very large images, like if you wouldn't want 10 images that are 10 megabytes, so you'd want to shrink them, I normally use different utilities on my system to shrink them before I upload them. But if I did use this browser, I could turn this feature on, add the domain, put the size in it OK, and it will shrink the images before it uploads it to that particular website. And that helps for individuals that may go to your website to if they got slow internet, for the images to download faster. Now there are also a turbocharged download manager that if I go to a link, I can right click, say to use the turbo download manager, and that way it will go and get parallel links to that to combine them together, very similar to the way that your torrents goes out and gets multiple users and puts the information together that allows it to download quicker. You don't have to enable that, and you can actually turn it to where you need to right click to use the turbo download manager. It would be default by clicking onto it, it would download just as it normally would in Google Chrome or Chromium. So you can go in the download section of your settings and enable or make some tweaks to that. So here's what it will look like when you're starting to use the download manager. If I right click and say use the download manager, it will have the URL from where you're downloading it from. It will allow you to save it in what location, and it will show you the file name. You can set the number of connections that you want to connect for 5 parallel connections. You can increase or decrease that, and that normally depends upon your internet speed. You can tweak that according to your system. Hit the download folder, and then in the lower right hand corner you'll see a little progress bar showing the download, and it'll show you what percentage. When you're finished, click view all the downloads, and it will bring up the download manager. When you right click, you can say open the folder, or if you open the file, in this case since that's the installation file, it will start installing that particular file. So if I say open folder, it will take me to the folder where my Slimjet file was at, where I downloaded it from. Now there are a lot of other features that I don't have on my website. So if you go to the online manual, here's a lot of the other features, many features that I don't go over because I really don't use them. You might like that. That's an online manual. And if you need help for this browser, there is an online form that you can click where there's facts, answers, and questions, general, bug reports, known issues, usage question, tips, and tricks. So if you have questions, use the online forum for help. Now let me minimize this and actually open up the Slimjet browser. So I'm going to go to my applications, internet, flash peak, Slimjet. I'm not going to really go over how to use the browser. I'm just going to show you some of the features that make Slimjet unique from Chrome and Chromium. Now by default, the address bar is going to be shown. It's going to have all those links that are pre-installed. You right click on those and hit delete and it will remove them. But then in a moment I'll show you how you can auto hide your address bar to give you a little bit more viewing area of the website. Now here it's going to have it's going to have an additional row, and by default as you begin to surf it will replace those ads that you see here, or you can go in here and delete or clear, and it will clear that URL box. It'll still be an empty box, but you can go edit. By clicking the edit, you can go, instead of automatically use the frequently used sites, you can go use a fixed URL, put in the site that you want to go to, put in the title, hit OK, and do the same for each of those. If it doesn't refresh, you can close the browser and bring it back up, or you can hit the refresh button to replace the existing URL on the button. So once you click the button, like for Yandex, this one here is from the Yandex.com, the Yandex search engine. Hit OK. If I click here, it's going to go and open up my Yandex, where I can go to Yandex Mail, and I can hit accept cookies or decline cookies. So if I want to accept the cookies, I click the accept here, and if I want to go back to my original tab, I go here and can close that out. Now if I do want to make some additional changes, like I've got a drop down where I can change, I can say manage my search engines, and I can come in here and add additional search engines, or I could delete search engines or change my default. I can click the add button to add search engines. Other search engines I can add here, but in this case my default is set at DuckDuckGo. I think it's by Bing by default. Now I can make additional changes to this tab by clicking this settings button. You have a customize button here and a settings button here, which is a customize and control Slimjet. That's for the entire browser. This is for this particular tab. So if I click here, it will allow me to adjust the number of rows and the number of columns. I think by default there are one more row, so it's set as 3. Now when I keep trying to put 1 in here, it automatically goes to 2. I don't know if it's for this particular system or if it requires you at least to have a minimum of 2 rows. But you can adjust and increase that. You can increase or decrease the number of columns. Now if you want to use a theme background, like if you downloaded a theme from the Google Chrome Web Store, click this to use your theme that you've downloaded and installed. Or if you want to use a custom color, a solid color in the background, choose the background color and choose what color you want to replace. If you want to use an image from your system, you click the dot dot dot. In this case I went to pictures, I went to browser, and I got a gray wolf which I have installed here, or I can click another image, a wallpaper, and when I hit OK it changes my wallpaper. Now if I wanted a video background, I go to background video, and if I wanted to install one from their online videos, I click this link, and a lot of them cost $1. There do have several free ones on here. Most of these are beach scenes and flower scenes, so if that's not your theme, you can download or record the WebMB videos. Make sure it's not too large, and when you click the dot dot dot, I'll go to my browsers, my animated backgrounds where I put them, and I put a few in here. I'll choose the city one, hit open, hit OK, and if it doesn't immediately change, then you can close the browser, and when it opens back up it will load the animated image in the background. Now if you have this open up to this website often, if moving images make you feel a little dizzy or something, you can go back and install the picture. Or if your system is old and you don't have a lot of video memory or a lot of memory on your system, it may appear to be choppy, or it may appear to slow your system down. So you can go back to settings, and instead of background video you can go to background image and then choose a image. I'll go back to my original gray wolf and hit OK. Before I hit OK, there's one other feature here. You can check to show the weather information. Now when you do that, it will show you the current weather that's outside. Now I don't know if it's getting the weather from the same location that this one's getting it. There could be 2 different places in my city that updates it, or they could be updating at different times. So this one probably got an earlier update of the weather, and this one right here may soon update to match the temperature. But you can put the current weather on this particular tab. Or if you want to, you can put a weather on the toolbar so that you see a weather on no matter what URL that you're at. Now the settings, when I go here, you have a lot of different settings. You can save a website as a PDF. You can save a screenshot. You can take a screenshot of your whole tab. You can take a screenshot of a selected area, just as you normally can with a normal screenshot tool. So if I click here, I can say don't show this again. I can select a certain area. And when I finish, I can give that file name, say yes, and give it a file name, or I can say no it's not going to put it on the clipboard, and it cancels. So that way the image that I selected will be on the clipboard. If I choose no, it just basically cancels that. So it does have a built-in screen capturing tool. And record from video. Now there's no video up here, so if I went to another place where like Facebook, I could click that and it will look like what you saw on my website, where I could put the time on it and download a video. For the sake of this video, to keep it short, I won't display how to use that. You can go back and refer to my website to do that. Now these are just like you have with Google Chrome and Chromium. Here's where you can control the download manager that allows you to show what your contents. As you can see here, when I downloaded some videos from YouTube, it downloaded both the video and audio, and then eventually it converted the audio into the video and made the MP4 file. The same thing for this particular video, and that was the video that I used on my website. And here's where I downloaded an update of Slimjet, and you can see it used the video, the Turbo Manager, and it does speed it up, but you don't have to enable that by default. You can have it where you can access the Turbo Manager by right click only. You can adjust, you can enable or disable the ad block, to update your filters, or to go into your options to allow certain websites where it's not blocking ads. You've got a lot more tools and extensions you can add, but the key thing here is your settings. When you go to your settings, you can sync it to your Google Gmail, and if you don't want to sync it for security purposes, you don't have to. You can use them just as a standalone browser. Here's your autofills, which is very similar to Google Chrome and Chromium. Where it's got enable anonymous usage, that's turned on by default. I turn that off because I'm not sure yet what it's sending to Slimjet. Like I said, it's very similar. You can open to a new page. You can customize to open up a particular. You can customize the toolbar. When you click this, this allows you to drag the buttons that you see here. I think the only thing that you have here is the home button here, but you can go through here, like if you want a clear browser data, you can put that here. So when you're finished, you can click that and it clears the websites that you've went to. If you don't want a button on your browser, if it looks like it's becoming too active or too many icons, you can drag them back over on the left hand side and they remove themselves from the toolbar. As you can see here, there are a lot of features you can add. You can even add a weather app, but because I have a weather app on my status bar, I don't need one on this particular browser. You can reset back to the default settings by clicking your reset button, so that's done. You got a lot of other features here that you can enable or disable. Now by default, when you open up Slimjet for the first time, your bookmark bar will be displayed. I put it on auto hide from the top. You got always visible, which is the default. You got other options. I just put auto hide, so that way for the bookmarks, if I have a lot of bookmarks, I can hover over it, choose what bookmark or a folder and drop down and go to it. And that gives me more real estate to look at web pages here. You can change your default search engine. You can kind of do that up here or on your tabs page where you have it. You can manage your search engines by adding additional search engines or removing them. You can say show the search engine drop down button. You can enable that. You can make this your default browser. You can open to a new tab where you left off, or you can set a specific page. These are the tabs options, so adjusting the tabs, you can come through here and make your tabs changes. You can customize your mouse gestures. You can customize things from your ad blockers to where you can allow ads on certain web pages. Now this right here is your location settings. If you enable the weather app button up here or in the browser, you want to go to set my location, put in your zip code, so that way it finds the weather for your location that you're at. It's not going to choose the default location from whatever's in the browser. So that way if you got a weather app here, the temperature should be very similar and the weather should be very similar as well. Here's the photo shrinking. So if I click this, and if I have that turned on, let me hit done. I've got it turned on, but that's not going to, when I upload, it's not going to shrink photos for every image I upload. It's only going to shrink images for the images at the websites that I select in this box. So if I put them on Dropbox, it will shrink. And if I don't want it, I can click here and remove, and it will remove Dropbox. I'll go ahead and take remove. So when I hit done, if I go back here and I start to put images in Dropbox now, they're going to be the full size of the images. They're not going to shrink. So the shrink settings only applies to the websites in this particular box. You've got the different languages, your spell check features that you can turn off and on, change your languages. You can change the locations of your downloads, your printings, system settings. You can reset back to the default settings, you can choose when to check for updates. If you set it every day, the first time you open up Slimjet, it might load a little slower because it's looking for an updated version. In a few moments, I'll show you what version I have. It has been updated since I've created the website. You can go and change a lot of miscellaneous settings, but looking here in the advanced, it'll by default look like this. When you click advanced, you've got a lot of other things that you can click on here. Reset your settings, system settings. You can go to a particular location, or you can go to your miscellaneous settings and choose some of the stuff that you see here. You got an embedded calculator that you can also enable. If I go here, I go to my help, go to About Slimjet, and it shows you what version. I think that one I have on my website is 27.0.7, and it shows you what version of Chromium that you're using. And it's open source, the Chromium is. Now some of the stuff that they built into it's probably not going to be able to install on your Chromium. So these extra features allows you to have some nice things within this particular browser. For example, my learnubuntu.weebly.com, if I've got it set to where I go Mate, and then when I press that, it automatically goes to my website. And instead of coming here and going down to browsers and say Slimjet Browser, I can also go back to, let me back up, I'll even back up again. If I go SILM, it would take me straight to my Slimjet browser. If I want to go to my 5th grade science website, I go Fit5SCI, press the enter return key, and it goes to my 5th grade science website. If I want to go to my 6th grade science, I'll say 6SCI, and it takes me to my 6th grade science website. If I want to go to my 6th grade social studies website, 6SOC, and it would take me to my social studies website. So this is not a URL shortener. It's an alias within my browser. So I can't send that alias to someone else and it works for this here. So it's great. You don't want to have too many because you have to remember the alias for the browsers. But if there's a lot of URLs that you have to type in, especially if you're someone that clears your cookies, you know, if you've got cookies enabled, once I start typing that, it'll drop down saying, and I can click on the option. But if you clear your cookies often, you have to go to that website at least once and for it to recommend in your Omnibox or your address bar. So this thing has a very nice features that are not added into Chromium or Google Chrome, and especially the YouTube downloader and the video screen recorder. Those are some nice features that are added into Slimjet. So if you think that Slimjet is a browser that you would like, and like I said, you can click on this button right here and say Get Themes, and it will take you to the Google Chrome Web Store where you can download and install some current updated looks. So if you don't like the looks of Slimjet, you can give it more of a modern theme. So like I said, if you found the video on YouTube, I will provide a link below the video that will show you how to install it and tweak and adjust some of the settings of the browser. And if you don't like the Slimjet browser, you might want to give the Yandex browser. I have that now into my browser site right here, and I will be updating this every so often. It may not get updated as often as I have in the past because, as you saw, my 6th grade science website and 5th grade science website, I'm working on those to help teachers and students that are learning from home. So I'm not updating my website and videos as often. I still will be updating those, but my priority right now is to make sure that students that are learning from home has the material and resources they need to learn the material to do well on their test and final exams. So in the future, I will be updating and going over some additional browsers. So if you don't like the Slimjet or the Yandex, stay tuned or keep checking back often, and I will be going over some browsers. I may not go over all of these. If I install a browser and if I don't think it works great, I won't include it. But if I think it's something that someone would like to use, I will add it here. And if it's definitely something I think someone would use, I will make a YouTube video of this. So hopefully this video has been helpful to you, and have a great day.